Okay, we are live from Infotec 2015 here in our third year of broadcasting live from the conference. I'm here with Phil Poje.
Yeah.
And Phil, great to have you back. We interviewed you last year. If you didn't catch that, just Google that. Phil's name, P-O-J-O, right?
P-O-J-E.
P-O-J-E, and Infotec 2014, and you would get back to the
Right.
interview that you did last year.
Absolutely.
Great catching up with you. Thanks for being a part of what we're doing here.
Absolutely.
Catch us up since it's been a year. What's the year been like for you? How are things there at Tech Orchard?
Well, I think all of us know that mobile technology is expanding rapidly.
Yeah.
There's just no doubt about it. It is iterating very quickly, and it's impacting every enterprise, every organization that you can imagine.
Yeah.
So companies are having to grapple with it. Most organizations are behind in how they're managing devices, around a strategy, around thinking about it. It's on top of everybody's mind, but frankly, it's not been addressed by many organizations. And last year, there were several very large organizations, one in financial services, several law firms that came on board and really wanted us to help them in managing, securing, and helping people be more productive around this whole mobile space.
We talked a little bit before we jumped on here about all the consumer offerings. And when we think of mobile, we'll maybe come back to that. When we think of mobile, we often think of those things, but we don't talk a lot about the security of them. And on my home tech shows, Home Gadget Geeks that I do, we often talk about mobile security from that way. But what kind of trends are you seeing now in that space?
Yeah, well, it's changing. The bad guys are getting smarter, right? They're figuring out ways to get around and to hack into things. And the mobile endpoint is really a new entry point for bad guys. So we really get companies to think not only to put in the infrastructure to protect it, but also to educate consumers, people who use mobile, which is all of us, on how to use it safely and securely.
Right.
And then the other thing we're very passionate about is how do you teach people in their careers, in what they've been called to do, to be more productive and to enjoy using mobile more, right? We all text, we all tweet, and we all make phone calls.
Right.
But is there something else you can do based on your organization that can make you more effective in your job and make an impact with your customers? And that's kind of the last piece is working with your organization memorable because of something you're doing mobile?
Yeah. Can you give me a good example of that? When you think of the best, like best in breed, best in market, what do you think of?
Well, just as a plug for tomorrow, tomorrow afternoon, I'm showing 3 video clips, 3 very brief video clips of 3 separate, completely distinct organizations that are using mobile to make it memorable, to make it different, and to change the experience.
Sure.
One example of that is a real estate firm out of Austin, Texas called the Good Life Team. And they use tablets when they show houses and when they go and do things with their clients. So as you walk into a house, they hand you a tablet, allow you to take your own pictures, your own movies, make notes, make video messages or notes about what you like about that house. And if you absolutely fall in love with the house, they simply pull up an offer letter on the tablet. You sign your name on it, you send it to the seller. The seller can then send back a counter offer. You can then counter offer that, change things, edit it while you're sitting in the house, and actually buy that house while you're sitting there.
Yeah.
So it changes that experience. You're not flipping through a 3-ring binder, looking at pictures, driving all over. You're able to experience it. And that's just one way that's just making it memorable. It's a different experience now because you're not only in the house, you're taking videos of it, you're making things, and if you want to buy it, you can there, on the spot.
Right on the spot.
Better than Amazon Prime.
They don't have to fly the house in. Right?
Not at all.
That's a great example though of where capturing the experience while you're there, being able to, we're live on Periscope right now. It could be Meerkat, it could be doing that. We're live on Google Hangouts as well. It could be even one of those things where you're with the iPad or whatever device, you're recording the whole experience there. Because I know when we bought our house 15 years ago, I kept thinking, let's go back. I'm going to drive by it. I want to look at it again. And so capturing some of those things on video might be really helpful in that way. What's the security backside? What's the dangerous, not in this particular case, right? But certainly as we deploy iPads and those kinds of things out there, what kind of dangers are you guys seeing now? What are the new things, the new dangers that you guys are seeing? Because it always seemed like for a while we just kind of trusted our phones, right?
We did.
Or whatever.
We trusted them.
What are you seeing
and
now?
And we trusted the apps.
Right.
And we just, we didn't think anything would happen. Still today, there's close to 50% of the people that don't have a passcode on their phone. So there's phones being left all over the place. There'll be over 9,000 phones this year that are lost or stolen, right? So that's a threat. Right. The other thing is the malware that continues to be developed, especially for the Android side, but certainly for the iOS. Malware that's being developed that people will download some type of app that they think is going to be very fun, very cool, but what it's doing, it's going in and grabbing data out of their contacts. It's grabbing data out of different other apps. So it's very malicious. It grabs that data, and 6 months later, all of a sudden, your credit card's getting hacked, and you wonder how it happened.
Right. Or your contact list is getting an email.
Exactly.
That looks like yours. That actually happened to me, and I'm still trying to figure out. I mean, I secure everything down to the nth, but somehow my contact list made it out in the wild, and they all got an email from me from another account.
Yep.
It wasn't my account. It was a spoofed, but it had my email address, my Yahoo email address in there. Because they saw that and trusted it, and it said from my iPhone. Funny, at the time I didn't have an iPhone, so people are like sending me this. Did you send it? I'm like, well, I don't own an iPhone, so no. I've since changed, but yeah, that kind of stuff, right?
It's a big challenge. Bad guys always can get in. The thing that we try to do is build the walls high enough, put enough barbed wire around it, security, and have the ability with a push of a button to wipe that data off there when we know there's something been compromised or we know a device is lost or misplaced.
Right.
And giving IT that ability at their fingertips to manage security around devices that are constantly on the move is critical.
Yeah.
Because IT guys, as you well know, they don't have enough time to say grace.
Right.
I mean, and they've been asked to do so much with so little. So handing them a power tool when it comes to mobile devices is pretty cool.
On the consumer side, you talked about securing with a password. I think that's the number everyone, whether you need to or not, put a password. It also encrypts the data in a lot of cases.
Right.
On the enterprise side, what's that same recommendation? I mean, what does every enterprise need to do at a minimum?
At a minimum, they need to make sure that they know every device that has corporate data on it, right? So if you're allowing your employees to access your email, that's corporate data. So you need to be able to identify that. And the only way to identify it, have some kind of enterprise mobility management system that tells you that particular Android or iOS or BlackBerry is getting data. And so before it gets that data, you can require that they download a profile, and in that profile setups is a requirement that they at least put a 4-digit passcode on their device. And if they ever take it off, which they can, you're alerted and you can remove access to data. So you need checks and balances just to make sure you know where your data is at, how to manage it. And when somebody falls outside of the compliance policies that you put in place to protect your company data, then you can take action.
Now,
it's really simple.
It's great advice for the larger organizations. What's your recommendation when we talk about smaller, medium-sized companies? I mean, they're in tough spot. Are there products for them that would help them do this and secure it?
Absolutely. Many of these companies that offer these products will do it down to 20, 25 devices. And any small company, when you start adding up all the tablets and smartphones, you're going to have that many devices. So somewhere between $50 to $60 a year, you can protect a device. I think that's cheap insurance and gives you control. So even small organization, because regardless of whether you're large or small, your data is the keys to your kingdom. It is probably the most precious stuff you have. It's not the building that you're officing in. It's that data.
And so how do you fit into that ecosystem, the tech orchard? What's the right? So I'm in a small company or I'm in a medium-sized company. I'm thinking, we don't really have, we're not doing this. I assume they come to you. What does that look like? And what,
we sit
what kind
down
of
with
advice
them. We sit down with them and really chat with them just about what are they trying to do in their company? What industry are they in? What's their marketing strategy, and how do they compete in the marketplace? And then after we understand those basics, we say, how does mobile fit in? And does mobile give you some opportunities that you didn't have 10 years ago? And it does for every organization. It doesn't make any difference what type of business you're in. Mobility provides some opportunities to help you communicate better with one another, to communicate better with consumers, your customers, and to make that experience with your company a more memorable, meaningful experience just by using mobile. It didn't make any sense. We work with everything from engineers to construction companies to schools to healthcare to attorneys to you name it. Every organization can benefit from leveraging mobile in some way, shape, or form. So then we help them think through a basic strategy of how do you begin to harness the power of mobile without going crazy. And first of all, identifying some of the security issues, then looking at productivity, and then how do we make that impact with that consumer just from a relationship standpoint.
Yeah. Do you guys have any numbers when we talk about cost per device these days? I'm sure there's a number that floats out there. What's for the typical the typical enterprise, and I hate to say it, but any for small, is there a dollar amount that you guys associate that with?
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, just from a cost standpoint, these platforms run $50 to $60 per device per year to protect, right? And some companies will do it by user, some will do it by device. You can have cloud-based solutions, you can have on-premise solutions, but all of them are there to help secure that data on a device and really to make the experience of using mobile easier, simpler, because you want your employees to use mobile, but you don't want them to feel like you've got Fort Knox around them.
Right.
They shouldn't have to enter a 10-digit passcode to be secure.
Right.
So we make that process simple, we make it easy, and then probably the real key that we've found is we provide the continual support, the continual thought leadership around mobility, so that as mobile changes, and it's changing every day, some of us will get our new Apple Watch this Friday, right?
Is that coming out this Friday?
It's coming out. They're supposed to be delivered this next.
Interesting.
So, and that's a whole new area of not only opportunity, but it's an area of security concern that companies have to address.
Is there an Apple Watch on effect now? As this watch comes out, any security things you already know about it?
Well, we do know that each one of the enterprise mobility partners we partner with from a security standpoint are addressing it. So they're going to have solutions that secure that device, that encrypt the data, going back and forth. And it's just one other piece of
VPN
device
for the watch. Right?
That's right.
That's crazy to think. Well, we dug into security after a really great example. So we talked about using that. When you think about productivity in the enterprise, that was kind of a consumer, the very first example, consumer. What are you seeing, or what's the best example of maybe an enterprise using mobile internally for productivity? How are you seeing that?
Yeah, there's a lot of different examples I could refer to. Probably the one that comes to mind is a construction company we work with. They went in complete paperless. So when you think of a construction company, it uses a lot of blueprints, a lot of punch lists. They have time cards. They access a lot of information, but they're very mobile. This company has went completely paperless. All of that information is now on a smartphone and or a tablet. So it allows immediate access to the most current data about a particular building project. And so they're able to communicate instantaneously. They can FaceTime, they can share videos, they can share pictures, and it's all done on the move while things are changing. Because in every project on a construction site, things are changing all the time. It never gets built the way the first blueprint.
Well, change orders, right?
Change orders.
Super important in making sure those change orders stay with the original documents and those kinds of things.
And the right people have access to them.
Right.
So this particular company, actually, they're a general contractor, and as they have subs that come on, they will hand them an iPad with all the things with their special code that they can have access to the files and the folders that they need access to.
I wonder how many they break. It's rough and tough.
Well, right? we do encase them in good OtterBox cases.
I bet. And some I've been looking at some companies, InvisiShield, and I think Tech Armor is another one where they're making these they call it ballistic glass.
That's exactly right. 6
layers of that really protects the screens from use. And you would think on a job site you would want hammers and nails flying around.
But you'd be surprised. We actually break the kids in a school that we support, kids in a school break more iPads than the construction guys do.
I bet they do. I bet they do. The kids are just like, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Especially the freshmen.
Exactly.
By the time they're junior and seniors, they've got it down. But the freshmen can break a lot of iPad screens.
It'll be interesting to see in years if we get better and better with the glass, and that just eventually it just becomes unbreakable.
It's going to be unbreakable,
right?
Pretty much so, unless you drive over it.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, you never know. In the talk that you're giving tomorrow, anything else that you're highlighting from that perspective that you want to kind of add in here?
I mean, the main thing is I want to challenge business leaders, thought leaders of organizations to think about their business and to think of it from a mobile perspective. It's a new perspective, so I want them to walk around the other side and think of it differently. And so we're going to be showing 3 video clips about different companies: Hyatt, Jordan Winery, Jordan Vineyards.
That's always good.
Yes, and how can mobility help produce better wine? And the Good Life team, as I mentioned before, a real estate firm that's using a mobile strategy to really reshape their industry and reshape how they interact with customers.
Awesome.
So those would be great.
That's good. Let me ask you one more question. I've been asking everybody. I always come up with this one question. As we look ahead, you see a lot. You're in the industry of seeing a lot of what's on the edge, right? What's really new. Anything coming in the next, 3 to 5 years that you're super excited about from a technology perspective?
Well, and again, I'm not an Apple salesman, but I am very excited about the Apple Watch because I think what we're seeing here is now a device who is monitoring body functions, taking readings on body, and if anybody has certain types of diseases or struggles in life. Medically, it's a big topic. You think of people who have epilepsy. You think of folks that have different types of conditions. And when you can have a device that can monitor your heart rate, your blood pressure, and different things remotely, and send alerts to certain people and gather data to where we can now do research, what that will do for the healthcare community, I don't think any of us can imagine at this point. But that's pretty exciting. Now, there's some security issues, privacy issues, right? We all have to wrestle with that. But I think it's a good thing to wrestle with, and I think the benefits can far outweigh the risk, hopefully, and helping people live better lives and manage their lives better and their health better. So.
Yeah, well, I need one that shocks me when I'm not eating the right food.
Ditto. Yeah, me too.
There were some delightful lemon bars over there. If you haven't had them yet, Jody's shaking her head that yes, I need one of those too. Well, Phil, thanks for taking a few minutes.
Great seeing you again.
Thanks for being on. You bet.